What happened after those 12 weeks in Chicago? Did you get your
actually,
orders?
Chicago is not right in Great Lakes. You have to take the A train to get there.
Okay.
And so, I mean, it's not like Chicago's sitting here and we're here. It's a distance away. So you have to make an effort to get there. Or like I said, they could have gone the other direction.
Right.
Oh, I got orders to go from, now after I went to Quonset Point first on
Yes,
orders.
yes.
Then from Quonset Point I went to orders back to Great Lakes.
Right?
And then from Great Lakes I went to Charleston, South Carolina.
Oh, okay.
So and that's where I had finished my hospital corps school. So, and I went to Charleston, South Carolina at the 6th Naval District, which was the PEB board for the East Coast, meaning the Physical Evaluation Board for all the guys that came back from overseas that were injured or treated or discharged or whatever the
Right.
verdict happened to be. So I worked there I was in that area for quite a while, and I actually ran into one of the Navy nurses that I knew in Quonset Point. She had gotten orders down there as well, which I enjoyed very much, being with her, because she was an older lady, but for the Navy, you'd think, but a gray-haired lady.
Right.
But still, she was like very, very intelligent, very smart, very quick on her feet. And she's like, she would bring me with her for some reason, she would bring me with her down to the wards where she was. And you know, it was really hard on some of the young guys. Mm-hmm. They could see me as their age, and I was their age.
Ah.
So you could see them almost crawl up under the sheets, you know. But she always would kind of bring him out and kind of help me learn the bedside manner.
Right.
And how to do what they needed. And
You were still 20, or had you turned 21
well,
by then?
I turned 21 in October, right after. And then I got into. They sent me to work over in the clinic, and I worked the OB/GYN board. Room, the ward. It was like when you did OB/GYN or any other section of that hospital, you did it from scratch. You did the packs. You did the organization of the instruments that the doctor's going to need, or whatever. Because I had one particular doctor that used to always request that I come up and stand by for him, because he knew that I would take care of the instruments, because he'd been upset with some people because some of the instruments, the speculums, you know what they are? Mm-hmm. Okay, he'd get real upset and throw them on the floor. Oh. But so he knew I always took care of those instruments, and I'd have them autoclaved, and I'd package them myself. So I did that, and I actually didn't really care to go up there and do that. But my mentor, she told me that I needed to go because he requested me, and that he was like very young. And he was, when he came into the Navy, he was already a doctor, like at 30-something, and so they tried to please him, and he was a good doctor, but I liked working by her side, you know, and then after her, she left, and they sent me over to the clinic, so I worked in the clinic, which was just daily visits like you would do at a clinic here, anywhere. And then we closed at 4. And then, of course, on weekends, you still, most of the time, you'd get some kind of duty. It would be like in the ER or in some parts of a nursery or somewhere. I worked a newborn nursery for a long time before I actually went to school. And then after I went to school, I didn't work in the nursery that much. I did work on pediatric wards a lot. And
when you say you went to school, what were you?
My Class A school that I went back to Great Lakes for.
Okay.
Hospital Corps School, they call that. And then from there, like I said, in Charleston, it was like, you don't have any really regimented thing. There's no one there sitting there telling you that you got to follow the rules or whatever. So that you're more or less on your own, except, of course, you know what to do. You know what they expect of you. But sometimes
So you got to do nursing.
be responsible.
No, and you got to do nursing, which is what you wanted to do.
Well, yeah, and this I did. And like I said, I was in all factions of that hospital, all over it. I never really worked the psycho ward, but I used to go over because I knew some of the guys that worked it, and it was pretty severe. It was kind of sad to see some people in that condition because, well, they were what you might say, the products of war. And so they had to have a place for them, like I said, I went over quite a bit. You don't go into their ward because their cages are. You walk down an aisle and they're on the cages, and they're pretty sad. But
they were in cages.
Well, their whole area was a cage. You know it was like those kind of. They're not wires, but they're metal, and because some of them are dangerous.
Yes.
So they had to be sure, and they had, you know, that I've noticed is the big guys were the ones that were the ones that they sent over to that ward, the ones that could handle themselves. So, but most of the time, and then when I worked in the clinic, I worked for this one special doctor he tried to teach me everything that I could learn. I was really happy with him, but I didn't, and that meant the individual personal nursing type and exams and so forth. But and on the ward, you get you give them the personal attention as well, and it's like. It's just experience that you gather as the day goes along.
How long was this part of your life?
I was in the Navy 2 years and 2 months, and I don't know, like 10 or 12 days.
So you were still very young when you came out. You were probably 12.
Well, I got married. That's the only reason I came out.
Oh, tell me about that.
Well, I met a Marine. I was at Richardson, and he came back from Korea. He had just been at the Chosin Reservoir. Do you know what that is?
Yes, I do.
Okay.
Met
he
someone
was at
yesterday.
Chosin, and he came back on November the 7th, and I met him that day for we used to go over to the Marines area where they had their, it was a combination bar on one end of it, and the other end was like a cafeteria or a restaurant type thing. And we'd go over there to eat a lot, we girls. And so the guys came, he and some of the other guys came in, and they came over, and I said, could sit at our table, and we said, sure, because there was a lot of room. And they stayed and we left, and he asked me, my husband asked me, then would I like to go out? And I said, well, I don't want to go out tonight. I have a date. So he said, well, I'll see you tomorrow. So we went back. We always went over there at that place because it was like different to where we'd been training and where we'd been, having. So he said, okay. So he came over and they said, well, you want to come out? I said, okay. So I think we went to a movie. I loved movies. I always loved to go to movies, still do. But anyway, that would be and then the Marine Corps ball came up on November the 10th. And I didn't go with him to the ball. I went to the ball because I already had reservations and everything. And all the Marines go to those balls anyway. So I danced with him some, and but we all danced with everybody. And, it was just it's like a family there. You get to and it's like, all of the kids get together and having fun, and so we were just doing, and then my girlfriend and I, we got a hotel room so we wouldn't have to go back to base that night. So we stayed in the hotel, and then got up the next day and went back to the base. And then my husband asked me the next day if I'd go out. So I went out, and this was probably on the 12th, I guess. Or it might have been the 11th, I don't know for sure. But it was 11th or 12th. And then he said, we went out and had dinner. We went to movies or something. And sometimes we'd go to the clubs, you know, and they'd have dances like on weekend. And they'd have sometimes very noted entertainers would be, like, which you probably don't remember, Gene Cooper.
Okay.
And that was the guy, the drummer. Mm-hmm. So he was at our club one night, and we went over there. But then on the way back to the base, to the barracks, he asked me to marry him. I said, "Did you? What? No, I'm not ready yet." He said, "Well, I'll ask you again later." So a few days later, he asked me again, and I said, "I haven't decided yet. I'm not really ready to get married yet." And so we dated. The end of the story, and not the end, but the detail on it this: on December the 20th, we met actually on November the 7th, and we married on December the 20th.
Good goodness.
In 1951.
So,
and
was that a good decision?
We were married 47 years, 6 months, and 14 days, but he died.